Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We've got a bit of a twist in this one, as normally we're crawling through a dungeon on the channel, but instead, this is a rare game where we're building the dungeon. We are playing Super Boss Monster today by Brotherwise Games. The objective of this one is to pull heroes into our dungeon and take them out. Heroes who die here count as souls, but heroes who survive give us wounds. So, we'll be playing a special solo game. As you can see, I've finished up most of setup before jumping into this game. This is supposed to be a quick one, so we'll see how it goes. We need to make a couple decisions, though, because the first thing we need to do is decide which boss we're playing as. We've got two choices here. It would help if I turn the light over top of the camera on. So our first boss we have to look at is his Oozness, Spell Slime Monarch. When we level up with 2 experience, place 3 +1 counters in rooms in your dungeon or draw 2 spells. Our other boss we have to choose from is the Shadow Fool, 325 experience. Yikes. When you level up, give each room in your dungeon with at least 1 +1 counter, another +1 counter. I'm going to choose to play as his Oozness. Okay, this already looks fairly interesting. So we get to our starting hand of 5 cards and 5 rooms and 2 spells. So for our first room we find actually this is our first spell, Archaeology. These aren't supposed I thought Archaeology was supposed to be removed from the deck for the solo mode. Nope, never mind. Okay, so back to continuing setup. Archaeology says choose 1 room in your dungeon. Until end of turn, it also has the treasure symbols of every room stacked beneath it. And our other spell is a strength buff. Choose up to 2 different monster rooms in your dungeon and give each a +1 strength, +1 counter. Then we've got 5 rooms which we can mulligan, so if we draw 4 advanced rooms or 4 treasures of 1 type, we can reveal them, then shuffle the entire hand back in and draw a new hand. So first up we've got a Subspace Path, which is a trap room. You may destroy this room to draw a spell card. And I believe let's look at the card anatomy. I'm trying to figure out how I can tell if a room is an advanced room. Yes, I am going to be learning this game as usual. Let's see, room card. Okay, so it is... Actually, it looks like a regular trap room by the icon up there. So next up is a Minion Arena, which is another trap room. Minion effect, give this room a +5 counter. Probably +5 health. Next up, we've got a Cobbled Union, which is a monster room. When you build this room, give all trap rooms adjacent to this room a +1 counter. 1 health gives money and strength, and it's a thief treasure and a fighter treasure. That's what those are. Next room up, Cryptid Chrysalis, which is a monster room. When you build this room, either discard and draw a spell, or give this room a +1 counter. 1 health, and it's got fighter and mage treasures in it. Let's see. It only determines which player starts the game. Okay, so that's all that does. And then C is the amount of damage the hero does. So that's the damage it takes. And Emporium, which is a monster room. You may destroy this room to make every other player discard a spell card. That is Cleric Treasure. So for our first room, there is a bit of iconography here, but hopefully it's not going to be too problematic. +1 damage. Okay, that's what that is. So for our first room, I'm going to build the Minion Arena. Building that to the left of the boss. So when the minion visits that room, give it +5 damage. That's a good one for right before the boss, so we can soften them up that way. Alright, I think we are all set up for this game, so let's jump in. First order of business, we've got the town phase. So each turn we reveal the 3 heroes from the deck and place them from left to right in the empty space. So going into 1 first up, we've got a cleric. 6 health, Otot, Terrier, Cleric. Otot doesn't think he's in his rural hometown anymore, but he's still willing to bless the storm clouds wherever he goes. 1 blood icon, let's see what that translates to. That's a wound. So if they survive the dungeon, it's placed behind our boss face up. So that's 1 wound that we would take. Next up, a mage, 4 health, Wisebeard, Wandering Wizard. Despite how garishly he's dressed, it's always easy to lose Wisebeard in the crowd. Also deals 1 wound, as all of the normal heroes do. Last up is the fighter. 4 health, 1 wound. Rabbit, transformed warrior. After being turned into a rabbit by a witch's curse, this brave knight just decided to hop with it. And on Wisebeard, the flavor text, despite how garishly he's dressed, it's always easy to lose Wisebeard in the crowd. Alright, use the 4 town slots of a 4-player game. If a hero would be forced out of town. Okay. So now so that's the town phase. Restock the market with hold on. Just looking at the town phase. So we place so in the market, which is down here, we reveal, a spell and a number of players. So we're essentially revealing for 2 players, I think, we're probably revealing for 2 players in the solo game. Right? Reveal 3 heroes from the deck. Once all those heroes are gone, use the 4 town slots of a 4-player game. Okay, just looking through that. In the market, reveal 1 spell and 2 rooms. Okay, so we will flip over a spell. So here we'll find the back rooms. Choose 1 room in any dungeon. Until end of turn, it deals +2 damage for each room stacked underneath it. And 2 rooms. So first room we find. Monster Truck. Minion, build a monster room in your dungeon. And another Emporium. Deals 2 damage and it's Cleric Treasure. This deals 3 damage and it's Fighter Treasure. Let's see, so that's the town phase. And we had the heroes appear already. After filling in new heroes, each player, starting with the first player, drafts 1 of the available room or spell cards in the market. That lets me just build a monster room, I think. We're actually going to grab the monster truck. That's also Fighter Treasure. So we'll draft that. There'll be 2 leftover cards. Place your minion and draft 1. Oh, so we place a minion first. We have to decide where we want to place the minion. I'm going to place the minion. Let's see. Starting with the first player, draft a card. So we will draft the monster truck, and I'll place the minion. I can place that on either an unoccupied landmark space or in the dungeon. I'm actually going to place the minion on my minion arena. I want to start strengthening that. So that'll deal +5 damage. Right? Yes. So you may cast build phase spells and build 1 room. Place 1 card face down in the dungeon. We will place that in... where do we want to place that? I'm going to place that in the... I can't build the monster truck yet because that's an advanced room, but I will build a... I'll go ahead and build that room. All right. And actually, I can probably just play everything face up. even though it gets flipped in. Yes, I'm just going to play it face up. So the room we're building is the Cobbled Union. So when I build this room, give all trap rooms adjacent to this room a +1 damage counter. So we must not have any +5 damage counters in here. So we're giving that a total of 3. So that's going to turn into 6 damage, essentially, for the room. Okay? Then we got the minion phase. Any remaining cards are then discarded, so the spell goes away, as does the monster room. So that minion arena is already a 6 damage room. Okay, so that's it for the minion phase. Then we've got the bait phase, which players are lured starting with the leftmost hero in the town row. Count the number of treasures in each dungeon corresponding to the hero. So we've got a thief and a fighter treasure right now, which isn't enough to lure which we have no treasures to lure the cleric or the mage, and the fighter treasure would need 3 heroes, so the heroes stay put. Okay, we have nothing in the adventure phase, so we're not traveling there. So without other dungeons to distract them. Okay, so actually the minion arena can only be up to +4 damage. Okay. So I think that is everything for the turn. Yes. Okay. So, right. End of turn. Reclaim your minion. Turn ends. Okay, so we're revealing... So that proceeds through the... So we loop back to the start of game, or back to the start of the round. Which means now we reveal 3 heroes. So our first hero that we reveal... heroes. So do those 3 heroes go away at the end of the turn, or do they stay there? It looks like they stay. Let me just double check that. Each turn reveal 3. Okay, move the leftmost. Okay, just double checking this. Okay, if a hero would be forced out of town into the town landmarks, place them in the first open town landmark. So that means... So we reveal a new hero, it looks like, to go here. So our next hero is a mage, Michael, Wizard's Apprentice. 6 health, deals a wound if he survives. Then revealing our second hero, puts a... Okay. Let's see, so that puts the... So if a hero would be forced out of town, place them, if there are 2 heroes in town and none, and you need to reveal 3, move the leftmost down to the first available landmark. So we move this one down to the temple, it looks like. And we advance the rest of those? That doesn't seem right. We need to reveal 1. Okay. Wait, visiting the market. Okay. Alright, so revealing another hero, which looks like it goes into 4, is the Thief, Sarah, Runaway Bride. Fleeing an arranged marriage, Sarah delves into every dungeon trying to find her missing one true love. If only he wasn't a boss monster. 6 health and needs 1, and does 1 wound. Then the mage comes down to the tower, and I think that was our last hero. No, we should have 6 heroes out. So our last hero to reveal is another thief. Janie Smith, novice time traveler. After finding a magical tree fort, Janie has gone on adventures throughout time and space, but she's always home for dinner. 4 wounds, or 4 health, does 1 wound if she survives the dungeon. Now we reveal in the market, so for our spell we've got Decoy Minion. Gain the effects of an unoccupied action spot in town. And then our 2 rooms. First up we've got a puzzle door. It's a trap room. When you build this room, place a +1 counter on it. You may remove 2 +1 counters from your dungeon to cancel a played spell. And Boardwalk, which is a trap room. When you build this room, give 1 other trap room in your dungeon a +1 counter. And we've got 2 thief treasures there. So now we are drafting we reveal a card. That means there'll be 2 leftover cards to discard, so we can build actually we can't do build things yet. We'll place our minion. Unfortunately, we can't place the minion. We can't lure any of the heroes to the dungeon. So I will... Actually, we're going to build a room here, I think. We are going to build the Emporium. We can destroy this room to make every other player discard a spell. Does 2 damage, but most importantly, that's a cleric treasure. Actually, we forgot to send our minion. I'm going to send the minion. Will only be lured if you have enough treasures to summon them. Okay, we're actually going to go visit the cleric. We're actually going to go visit the temple. Trying to lure the cleric there. I believe that's how that works. Let's see. Starting with the first player. Each player gains the effect. Compare treasure values. Okay. So actually we want to send the minion, I think, up to the library. And going to the library means we draw a spell card from the top of the spell deck, then discard a spell. So let's look at the spell to see what we find here. So we find Cobbled Rush. Double the total damage of 1 room in your dungeon until end of turn. At the end of this turn, destroy that room. Then we have to discard a spell. I think we're going to discard the Cobbled Rush. So that's visiting the library. Actually, that happened during the minion phase. We are still going to build the Emporium, though, which gives me a cleric treasure. So, bait phase. During the bait phase, heroes are lured to the player dungeons via the following steps. Starting with the leftmost hero, count the number of treasure icons in each dungeon corresponding to the hero in town. So that's at the... Is that at the landmarks, or... Heroes in landmarks are never lured. So the fighter actually does have we do actually have enough treasure to lure the fighter down to our dungeon. So that was 1 treasure. We needed 2 to lure the... We needed 2 mage treasures to lure the mage. We've only got 1, so nothing there. Then we need 3 and 4 to lure the thief, but we don't have any of those. We've only got 1 right now. So we do have enough to... Okay, so that means the fighter got lured to the dungeon. Tied treasure heroes. If no player has treasure of that hero's type, everybody stays put. So during the adventure phase... Okay. So during the adventure phase, heroes attack dungeons and players take turns contending with them. Players with heroes at their dungeon entrance take turns as the active player. So, that means our fighter's moving through our dungeon. First he encounters the Emporium room, so he will take 2 damage. So he'll take 2 damage, and then so he goes through the dungeon, right? Yes. Starting with each hero moves through that player's dungeon. Okay, so the fighter took 2 damage. Then he moves through each room. So he moves through the Cobbled Union to take another point of damage, bringing him up to 3, and I'm actually going to use dice to track the damage each hero's taken. Then he moves into my minion arena, and since we fortified that room, he gets obliterated, and he'll turn into a soul for our dungeon. And how do we determine when he levels up? Let's see, anatomy. So B is boss ability. He has a powerful level up, which triggers at the end of their build phase when their dungeon first reaches 5 visible rooms. Okay, so we took out the fighter in our dungeon. Okay, so that was the adventure phase. And we forgot to draft a room. We're gonna draft the boardwalk, actually. Then at the end of the turn, since we went through the adventure phase, we're discarding everything there, reclaiming our minion, and a new turn begins. Okay, so we're starting off by revealing 3 heroes. So our first hero here is a thief. 6 health, 1 wound on survival, Calibri, Mischievous Bones. Once a dungeon denizen, Calibri just showed up in town one day, and no one cared enough to kick him out. Mage comes to the library, and our next room is another cleric. Friday the 6th, Odd Child. Friday makes sure to keep her feet solidly on the ground. She may be a powerful psychic, but she still gets seasick. 4 health, does 1 wound. Then our runaway bride moves down, and our last hero coming out is Scoff Beast Trainer. 6 health, 1 wound on survival. Going against the traditions of her community, Scoff chose to befriend the beasts terrorizing her town. Okay, so that's the town phase. Based on the first open. Okay, market phase, we reveal 1 spell in 2 rooms. So first up, we find a second health bar. Choose a hero that survived the last room of your dungeon this turn. Return them to the last room of your dungeon, applying its damage and effects again. Then 2 rooms. First room we'll find here is Support Class. It's a trap room. Once per turn, you may remove 3 +1 counters from your dungeon to heal an ordinary wound. Does 2 damage, and it's a cleric treasure. And next up, Dungeon Archives. When your minion visits the library, give this room a +1 damage counter. Okay, so that's the town phase, which means we need to place our minion and draft a card from the market. So I'm going to place our minion at the... So we're going to send our minion to lure the cleric down. Okay. Yep, during the minion... So during the... And we draft a card. I'm going to draft the support class. Since we need to be able to... Since I want to be able to start luring clerics to the dungeon. Let's see. So now we go into the build phase. And the build phase I'm going to build here, or the room I'm going to build here, is I'm going to build the... Let's see, this should be... Okay, this is a regular monster room, so I'm going to build the Cryptid Chrysalis. When I build this room, either discard or draw a spell, or give this room a +1 damage counter. I'm actually going to give it a +1 damage counter, so it's dealing 2 damage. Okay. So now that's the build phase. Yep, so now we're looking at the minion phase, which means these get discarded, and we check to see if we're luring anybody to the dungeon. This is the bait phase, so we, starting with the leftmost hero in the town row, count the number of treasure icons. The thief needs 1 treasure, and we've got 1 thief treasure, so the thief gets lured to the dungeon. Then this thief would need 2 thief treasures, but nothing there. Then 3 for the cleric, which we only have 1, and 4 for the fighter. And because we've got the cleric here, he gets lured as well. So since he was at the temple, let's see, since he was at the temple, does he get the... Whenever hero enters town, place him in the tavern. Okay. So yeah, we want to keep heroes from getting into the tavern for obvious reasons. And then the mage is still there. Okay, so that was it. That's it for the bait phase. Now we have the adventure phase. So first up, the thief came in. She will move into the cryptid chrysalis and take 2 damage. She's only got 4 health. The cleric will move in and also take 2 damage. I'm going to pour these dice out. So the cleric also takes 2 damage. And I could theoretically screw with the rooms here, but I'm not going to worry about that. So the thief will move into the emporium and will bite the dust there. So the thief is actually defeated, which means the thief will turn into a soul for his oozness. The cleric will move into the emporium, taking another 2 damage. Then moving into the Kobold Union to take another 1, and then gets obliterated in the Minion Arena for another 4 damage. So that turns the cleric into another soul for us. Then end of turn, reclaim our minion, and we start a new turn. Okay, so now I believe everything shifts. They'll push all heroes left. Okay, so yeah, looks like we do right number of available spots. Whenever a hero enters, place them on the rightmost available space. So it looks like everything does shift to the right. So our first hero here is another cleric, Paul Reitman, hero at law. Have you been unfairly harmed by a boss monster? Have you been unjustly accused of being a werewolf? Call now. So he goes there. Calibri moves down, and everything shifts over. So placing on the rightmost space for 2 is another fighter, Mintleaf, lumberjack. Mintleaf usually enjoys her quiet life in the woods making art, but every now and then she gets the itch to slay some vermin. 6 health, deals a wound if she survives. And since we're completely full, let's see, if no spaces are available, we'll push all heroes left. If that landmark is already occupied by a hero, place that hero in the tavern, and actually we're just going to be moving this next hero to the tavern, it looks like. Which seems a little weird, but let me check in the solo rules. Reveal 3 heroes. If a hero would be forced out of town, regardless of the treasure type from left to right. If there are 2 heroes in town and none in the landmarks, use the 4 town slots of a 4-player game? Okay, yeah. Okay, if there are 2 heroes and you need to reveal 3, put the leftmost hero. So yeah, it actually looks like we're full up, which means this hero goes to the tavern and the game just ends. So we're sending the mage, Javiera, PhD. If you can match Javiera's academic accomplishments, or her psychic powers for that matter, so she goes to the tavern and the game ends. If I'm understanding this correctly, yes. So the heroes move to the tavern. Okay. So we score. So we didn't end up with 5 wounds. So the scoring is the number of souls we killed minus the number of wounds we took, which is 3 in this case. We never got to the 5 available rooms. So we ended up scoring as a kobold in this one. But that will do it for this playthrough of Super Boss Monster. This was actually pretty interesting if it seemed like it ended a little bit quickly. And it was actually pretty fun having the reverse twist on this one, where instead of playing as the boss, as the heroes crawling in the dungeon, you actually play as the boss going through the dungeon. I definitely need to work a little bit more on being able to lure heroes to the dungeon. That'll probably come with more plays, though, and I do see this hitting the channel again. But let's go ahead and wrap this video up. I think there will be one more game on the channel later tonight, but I'm going to hold close to the vest what that game is going to be. As for what else is coming up on the channel as far as scheduled videos go, Monday we're continuing with Metal Gear Mondays, as we're playing Metal Gear Solid, the board game from Simon. We will be taking on Psycho Mantis in that campaign. On Wednesday, we'll be playing Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight. And Saturday, Mystical Munchies will conclude Out of the World of Warcraft, New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook, as we make the dessert, Balara's Nutter Bar. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.